welcome back to Free Your Mind. If it's your first time coming up and showing up here, we welcome you. This is a non-judgmental, thriving community where you can come and be inspired. You can come and get resources to help you heal and thrive, man. That's what we want to do. That's what I want to do, and I know that's what a lot of you want to do, that we're just going to not only survive, we're not only going to heal, but we are going to thrive. I feel like we're, maybe all in like this kind of cocoon state, and we're just in here and we're loving on ourselves, and we're doing the work so that when our time is right and our day comes, we just burst out of that little chrysalis into like this beautiful monarch butterfly. Or if you want another symbolism or symbol, or I guess like symbolic representation, like the phoenix, that's just like rising from the ashes, and just have this mentality that no one or nothing can keep you down. They might get you down, heck, you might get yourself down, but just understand that you have this greater source within you that is rebirth, and that at any cost you are just going to allow yourself to be born again and to thrive, that you have it in yourself to do it. I don't care how many times you hear the word no. I don't care how many times that you hear the word that you're unworthy, that you're ugly, that you're lying, that you're making it all up. We believe you. It is not your fault, and we are so sorry that happened to you. So I want to come to get today, guys, because I'm sharing something that has been very monumental on my journey, and realizing, I know I was talking about it in another video about how I felt like I grew up to be this caretaker, and there is a word for that. Again, like, I'm using a coping mechanism that I have used, and I suppose like some of our coping mechanisms maybe can help us in healing. I know there are coping mechanisms that aren't the best and that could be dangerous or hazardous to us, but there are some coping mechanisms that I believe can be, can be a great influence on our healing. For example, I guess used within, too much of anything is bad. So one of my coping mechanisms is intellectualizing. I have to see it from, I guess, just like a scientific point of view. I'm a researcher. I have to understand why. I have to know why, because somehow it just helps me to cope with the abuse, the trauma, the neglect of everyday life. So in using that as a coping mechanism, I have found out a lot of information about myself, and I spoke about it in the other video about how I felt like I was like a caretaker. Well, there's actually a term for it, and it's called codependency. So I was on, just look up some different resources online, and don't forget to check the description box. I have a lot of resources down there. And I will include the resources as far as codependency down there, so that you can also understand and know what it is like, because a lot of people who are grow up in chaos and traumatic situations in childhood have this pattern of repeating this very enabling and abusive type of relationship. I even saw somewhere, and it says like codependency is an addiction to relationships. So codependency, by what Medical News Today, and that's going to be an article that I put in the description box, says that a codependent relationship is when one partner needs the other, who in turn needs to be needed. Even now I'm getting chills, because that's like all my relationships. And since you see me laughing, that is another coping mechanism, which I use humor, because it is a way that I can distance it from myself and not really understand the trauma and how I guess, in another word, like how bad things are, is I laugh. And a lot of people who've been through a lot of things, they laugh too. It's just a way of trying to lighten the situation some way, somehow, in your own mind, because if it's funny, how can it hurt you? I mean, I know a lot of us who kind of been hurt, or taught to kind of like laugh at yourself if somebody's like bullying you or somebody's picking on you, to laugh at yourself. So if you ever see me laughing and at something that's like really hideous and barbaric, and you're like, why is she laughing? That is another coping mechanism that I do to help me get through. But anyway, in saying that, the codependency is just being in a relationship with somebody else who needs the other person. And so you get all of this gratification from helping the other person, from lifting them up, from motivating you, but you're kind of like a martyr too, because it's like you're doing unnecessary sacrifices, and you don't really have any boundaries, and all of your self-worth and self-love is focused in on this person. So the more that they need you and the more that you can pour yourself into them, it is like this relationship where it directly validates you as a person and validates who you are. And you're like, oh, great. Let's say Joe Smith, he's, when you first met him, he didn't know what he wanted to do with his life and he was down in the dumps. And then you come along and you give him motivation, you give him drive, you do all these things. And because it's making you feel good that now this other person is benefiting from you. And then that said person needs to be needed by you. And this first concept came across me. I was in a relationship in college with an older guy, and he was talking about codependency. And at the time, and that relationship was codependent. So at the time, I didn't really quite understand what it was, but it wasn't until I got older and I thought, that I would like, that it didn't bother me anymore, that I wasn't in that type of relationship until a couple of months ago, or maybe a month or two ago, when my best friend sent me an article, and I will link that in the description box as well, talking about codependency and just this need that I had to save everyone, this need that I had to felt like I had to be there, I had to be the mother, I had to give the advice. And if people didn't follow my advice, oh man, like I just didn't understand, like, why aren't you following my advice? This advice is good. Like, I just, when I read that article, I just was freed, because I was like, man, I have, for I think maybe like the last 3 years or so, the last 2 years, I've just kind of had this this idea, this attitude. I kind of just turned my attitude around from let me help you, let me save you, to I don't want to save anybody. I cannot save anybody. You cannot save anybody. No one can save anybody. And I tell my bestie all the time, like, I am an average citizen. I am April, an average citizen. I am not April Superwoman, like cape on. I'm going saving people in the middle of the night and being Superwoman. And that was who I defined myself as, Superwoman. Not Superwoman, I go and I take care of businesses, but Superwoman, I save everybody. And in my quest to try to save everybody, I confused what motivation was. And I was at one point in time wanted to be this motivational speaker, and I wanted to be great, and I wanted to be known worldwide, and I wanted to uplift people. But in the aspect of codependency, like, I put everybody's situation on my back, and if they weren't somehow saved, or if they didn't do the work, I took full responsibility of somebody not going to, let's say, college, or not following out on their dreams, or not getting out of the relationship. I took full responsibility. I was like, well, maybe I didn't say it right. Maybe they didn't hear it right. Maybe I need to say it in another way. I mean, I took the brunt of it all. And I realized that I don't want to do that anymore. I don't have to. We don't have to do that anymore, ever. That is toxic. That is such a toxic relationship behavior concept. The fact that your whole life is centered around somebody else basically getting their ish together. No, allies, no. Let us focus on ourselves. And when I started to focus on myself and I started talking to myself better, to me, myself, I am baby girl. So when I talk to myself and maybe I do something wrong or I don't do something quite right or I make a mistake, I say, hey, baby girl, it's fine. It started with that talking to myself differently. It started with allowing myself the greater things and abundance of life, that no, I don't have to get that, $2 shampoo. I can get that expensive shampoo. I tell myself, if do I want it? I go through kind of like a checklist because I have used to have an abusive relationship when it came to money because of my childhood and growing up. So I had to rethink it and kind of go through this list of, hey, April, do you want that? Yes, check. 2, can you afford it? Yes, check. All right. 3, get it. Because there were so many times where I wanted something, I could afford it, but I would talk myself out of it and get the cheaper brand or get the one that's less effective or whatever. So instead of getting this shampoo or clothes or whatever that I want that was $25, I would talk myself into thinking, okay, well, no, I don't need it. I don't, quote, deserve it. But we all know that's the kind of language that I was speaking, maybe not unknowingly, but I don't need it, I don't deserve it, I'm going to get something else. But I don't anymore. I don't. I am of value. I am of worth. I'm worthy. I love myself. I was out with my best friend yesterday and in the parking lot. I didn't care. I said, I love myself. Hey guys, I love myself, because if you don't, who else is going to do it? You're looking out here. I was constantly throughout my whole entire life looking out in other people for validation, for self-love, but I had to start here. Allies, we have to start here. So on the 13th of August, that is a huge day for me. That is my anniversary of when I fell in love with myself. And now from here on out, when August 13th comes around, that day was full of so much transition and deep thinking and unlocking, that it is okay if I don't, find the love of my life, or let's say if I wasn't a mom, or it is okay if you don't find the love of your life. It is okay if you don't have kids. It's okay, because life is about a lot much more. You don't have to be just defined by your relationship or defined by being a parent. Now, don't get me wrong, it is incredible being a parent. It is incredible being in a healthy relationship. It really is. But you can be more than that. And what I was doing is I was defining myself by my relationships. But my life can still have fulfillment. I could still be great. I could still be awesome if I'm not in a fulfilling relationship, if I'm not a parent, if I don't have the friends, because it starts with the self-love. August 13th is my anniversary for when I fell in love with myself. So when August 13th comes around, I'm throwing a big celebration. And it's just going to be me. It's just going to be me. Taking myself out to dinner, go get a massage, get my hair done, get my nails done. Whatever I feel like I want to do to celebrate me, I'm going to celebrate me. Because I just stopped trying to control everything. I stopped trying to control people. I stopped trying to make people fit in my life. It's okay if you guys are not compatible. Let them go. Let them go. It's okay if somebody is not giving you your needs, even though you ask them time and time and show them like these are what your needs are. Let them go. It's okay. And you have to know that there is more out there. If you want that $36 bottle of shampoo or a $500 suit, and instead of getting that $35 bottle of shampoo or $500 suit, and you settle and you're like, you know what, well, I'll get this. Deserve this. No. Something else is going to come along. You have to believe. You have to believe. So let it go. The control and trying to make things fit and make things happen. I saw a video one day and I was talking about be like water. Instead of trying to fight against the tide or, go upstream, just let go, relax. Relax and go with the water, go with the flow, and you'll find yourself having more energy, more finding more value in yourself, more love in yourself, that you have it in you to figure it out, because everything is figure outable. It is. And if something's not working in your life, you don't have to force it to make it work. Be the average citizen. The beautiful, amazing. Don't need to save anybody. I don't have to have responsibility over anybody else's life decisions but my own. Love yourself today. Give yourself a hug. I'm going to do it right now. Giving all this love to myself. Give yourself a hug. Stand up for yourself. Love yourself. Love yourself. And don't ever settle, because there is more. There is far more, because we are thriving. In this community, allies, there's more than surviving. It's more than healing. It's more than thriving. So until next time, love yourself above anything else. Love yourself.